on my business, one hand over God, and I will pledge allegiance to the flag. Okay, huge, very strong, very strong. And in no way does this podcast endorse any political. We just like to have a little bit of fun. Just a little bit of fun. Now, you don't want me to do Sleepy Joe, because then everybody gets upset.
You're rolling?
You're rolling? Rolling. We're in,
dude.
We're in.
No, hey, it's okay.
The dream becomes a reality, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls, welcome to the beginning of an era.
Ooh.
Of a dream finally realized between me and my brother Peter Rico here.
Hey, man.
4 If I can record this, I wish I had my phone. Hey, man, that's a different story. 4 what was it, 4 years ago?
It's been a minute, yeah. I think
it's been an hour. Not a minute. It's been an hour.
It's been a lot of minutes. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, like 2019.
2019.
No, even more.
About this
when
podcast.
did Infinity War come out?
2018.
Yeah, so before that, a little bit before Infinity War,
yeah.
so like around 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first, welcome to the Common Sense Podcast. Welcome to the first episode. This is episode 1 officially, and my name is Peter Rico.
My name is Nicholas Medina.
And it's a pleasure to be here. Nick, how are you doing today?
You know, I am doing good. I could be doing better. I went yesterday to the LA County Fair, and it was a great time. I loved it. Discounted tickets right now.
P-Town.
Yeah. I saw somebody's phone get smashed.
Beautiful.
It's sad. It was an iPhone, and it just shattered. We don't endorse breaking phones.
Team Android endorses that all day.
Don't get the hate going. Not in the first episode. But I do have an Android. Haters, please comment, like, and subscribe. And I unfortunately dropped my phone.
You dropped your phone?
I dropped it. Now, it didn't fall from a very far height. It was from my pocket down. But unfortunately, I'm getting it fixed right now so I can upgrade to the Samsung 24 Ultra. But I'm doing pretty good so far. I appreciate you asking, man. I think it's important that we talk about these things because so often people could just go through life and, we just think it's mundane. We don't really care, but it's what really matters.
Yeah.
It really matters.
Here on Common Sense, we'd love to start just having people check in with each other, starting with how are you doing today? Not yesterday, not what are you looking forward to, but how are you doing at this moment? It's so important for people. I think it's the biggest thing with mental health these days, with all these crazy sensationalized articles that we read, whether from the news, whether from fake news, whether from the Facebook, the Instagram, the Snapchat. I am 30 now, so I think I have all the rights to say and incorrectly state all the social media sites. I think that's purely my right. And some of these things can weigh on our mental toll. So some of these things can take a mental toll and take a weight on our mind. And so, that's why I just want to ask, how are you doing today? Nobody's asked you that. I love you. I just want to know how you're doing today. So I want to be the first to ask, how are you doing today? Please ask somebody that. It can change their whole perspective.
It's true.
But I wish you're doing better, bro. I wish your phone was intact. I wish you...
Hey, things happen. Life happens. I think it's just how we respond to it. Life is 90% of how we respond, 10% of what happens. And I think at times we can flip it depending on what it is. It's just rolling with it, That's why I'm really happy we're able to jump on
You're gonna make me cry over your phone right now. See?
Over a Samsung, folks. You have to.
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna cry over a Samsung.
Okay, he's not crying over
all
Samsung.
Right.
But no, my phone, yes, please.
Okay. I'm glad Nick's doing good.
He'll be resurrected tomorrow.
So what are we doing this podcast for? Like, what is the whole goal of Common Sense? I ponder that. I think about that all the time. Like, if I told somebody, hey, I do a podcast, what would I tell them? So what I would say, all this is, our little mission statement basically is, you find God when you find common sense. So what that means is that in the middle ground in everything, you find more faith. When it comes to, hey, should I be cheating on my girlfriend? The easiest thing is to just think about it for a second and to say, no, that wouldn't be a good thing. That's going to weigh on my moral scales. That's going to weigh on the type of thing I'm putting out into the world, like who I am. You know, I think when we can just figure out like, hey, cheating is bad. I think everybody just knows that. It's very a common thought that everybody has, that cheating on somebody's bad. When we can say, hey, should I have a donut at 12 a.m. at night? I think pretty simply we can see that's not the way to go. I know Nick loves to snack at 12 a.m. and you can see me. You know, I love snacking, but the common sense thing is like, it's not the way to go. Should I hit the gym even though I haven't hit it in 3 weeks? You know, it's easy. Like if you're tired of having a gut, for all my people, that's I don't mean to fat shame. I don't mean to, you know, look, I don't
real,
hate you. I don't hate you. But I don't like my gut, you know? And I do hope that what we can see is that common sense will just lead us to the place where we can all just agree on stuff. We can finally agree. There's too many podcasts where we disagree with each other. Too many podcasts where we fight each other.
I agree.
Too many podcasts where people want to yell and people just want to be right even though they know they're wrong. So here I just hope that we have a chance in this space that we're creating here, that we have a chance to hear a side that maybe we didn't see, that we have a chance to accept some outside views that may be way different from our own, so that we can find common sense, so that we can find that middle ground. Anything to add to that?
I loved all that. I think it was pretty convicting now just to say, as of right now, I've definitely feel more convicted to jump back in the gym, regardless of gut or not, without a shadow of doubt. You called it out. It is
Nick used to be a runner at Mount Sac. Nick used to be part of this death squad that was at Mount Sac, where all the athletes there were amazing. And so this man hates having a body that is not a runner's body. He thinks he's fat. And please, people, tell him he's not fat. He's not. He thinks he is. And, you know, like if you can see your toes when you stand straight up, you're not fat. You know, like that's just the key. That's just an honest thing. And if you have a belly, you know that there's some issues, you know, as I stare at some skinny people here. You know, I see I picked my team wrong. We need to
That's hey.
There's some fit people around me, and I'm very honored to be around them. It gives me something to look forward to.
Come on.
But you know, I just think like Nick wants to get that runner's body back, and I think that's something to strive to.
I would say I want to get back into a state. The runner's mentality is still there. For all my runners out there, you never stop being a runner. You always want to continue to push against the grain. What sucks is losing that discipline and losing that familiarity with waking up at a certain time, whether it's 5 o'clock in the morning to go to morning practice, and then, you know, you have your run, and that takes about, you know, an hour to 2 hours depending on your mileage for that week. And then, you know, you go to school and everything else, and you go back to running, and then, you know, if you got a bike home or you get a car ride, hey man, for me, I do agree. I want to get back to maybe not a runner's body, but just back to my peak athleticism. And you guys are definitely going to see that. I think it's going to be great for this sense of accountability for us, because we want you guys to come with us. As I open my hand, I hope you guys take this journey with us, because you're going to be seeing two Mexican Americans really just finding out what it is to not only live in America, deal with certain issues of the day, looking at how do we look at it from a faith perspective, inviting people on and really being able to see opposite views as well as similar views, and then coming to a middle ground and understanding on how can we find God in this. And this is something that's extremely important, as well as our physical fitness. I think it's extremely important.
And so just in this time, you've heard words like faith, conviction. Like, these are all coming from Nick. We are a Christian podcast. So if you're not a Christian, I apologize if words like that get to you. Words like discipline. I don't mean to tune you out. But these are words that come from studying the Bible. These are words that you develop as you walk closer with God, as you walk closer with Jesus. So that's something that I've gotten. I've gotten more of a conviction of what discipline is. And I think everybody wants that. So I'm not trying to preach to you on this podcast. I'm not trying to convert you in a traditional sense. But what I do want to do with the Common Sense podcast is I want you to become the most disciplined version of yourself. I want you to have the conviction that, hey, it's okay if you're wrong. You know, like we can find out new information changes everything. And that's something that people act like they don't need. They act like they don't need new information.
That's true.
They act like they know it all. And that's not what you're going to get on this podcast. You're going to get two guys who are, you know, we have our wounds, we have our deficiencies, but if you join us on this journey, as Nick said, you're going to see two guys who are going to grow, and you're going to grow with us. And we really hope that whatever audience chooses to tune in is that you want to grow. You want to find some sort of better way for yourself. You want to come to that middle ground so we can stop leaning too far right, too far left, but just walk that narrow path, you know? And hopefully that's going to get some common sense into people, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I appreciate that. Thank you, Pete. And, you know, guys, at the end of the day, you're just going to see our lives.
Right.
There's no gray. It's just going to be black and white. At the end of the day, you guys are going to be a part of our community, whether you're going to be the haters, whether you're going to be people that are going to uplift us. We love all of you guys. And we want you guys to comment on this. We want to engage with our audience. But yet, not just an audience that we want, because we feel as if you guys are already here. You guys just are faceless for right now. But I'm looking forward to being able to see this community grow and being able to engage with everybody who's willing to comment. So
that's right. So we're gonna get into our first segment today. Our first segment, and we're gonna introduce those as the episodes go on. We have multiple segments. We can't wait to see it. Actually, before we get into the first segment, I just wanted to talk about our product of the day.
Yes.
And that is Kind.
Kind.
If you saw it on that camera. Kind. And this is shout out to our brother Marco out in New Mexico. Our brother in Christ. He's started this brand. This is a Christian brand. Shout out our brother James out in Hawaii. And you can actively go on Instagram to Kind Brand, and you can order some of these shirts. This is some of the best fabric I've ever felt. He literally told me, like, you can work out in this. I was like, why would I work out in this shirt?
Oh my gosh.
This is one of the best shirts I have. As soon as I bought it, I was like, this is one of the most comfortable shirts I have. It's fitting. I'm not used to shirts being fitting as you know, just as a guy. I think we either got baggy or kind of, you know, extra medium.
Okay, yeah.
And things like that. Yeah. But this shirt feels amazing. So they have amazing hoodies. I'd love to show you the cross on the back, but maybe later. You know, for the sake of slanging crack, I wouldn't want you guys to see that. We don't know each other that personally yet, you know.
Well, we will.
I ain't doing that on camera. You tripping? But you know, shout out to Kind. Shout out to Kind. That is our product of the day. So the first thing we're gonna get into, that we want to get into with the first segment, is called uncommon sense. And to break that down, common sense is very uncommon these days. Common sense is not something everybody has these days. What does that mean? For instance, manners. Have you just noticed that so many people don't have manners these days? Like, people don't say thank you these days.
That's true.
So many kids are entitled, and they just talk down to adults that they don't even know these days. It's so crazy. There's no more manners. What do you think about that, Nick?
I agree that a lot of young folks don't have manners. And the reason being is because we're entering an era, or we've been in an era, in which there hasn't been a father figure in the house to teach somebody as an example. So when there's a lack of a father figure there, the absence of that, you end up looking to your friends and your peers. And if the peers aren't being taught, then you just have a culture in which young men and women, before they even hit adolescence, just have this sense of entitlement that, you know, I deserve this. And because nobody's taught them any better. Nobody sat down and talked to them. And then even when you do, it's like, well, what authority are you coming from? You're not my dad. You're not my mom. And it's very tough. It's very, very, very tough, because then we find ourselves in a situation in which, all right, then who has authority to talk about these matters?
I think that's a big thing. Even respect for authority.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's something that's lost in the world right now. Like when we just see the way there used to be like a reverence in this country for how we would talk about our leaders.
Oh, yeah.
How we would talk about our military men. How we would talk about our parents. There used to be like a reverence we would hold for people older than us, but now that's kind of gone. It's crazy. Of course, there's just a lot less. There's a lot less reason to have so much respect for people we don't know. I think that with social media, we kind of know people a lot closer. We kind of know people's inmost thoughts. We kind of know people at a level that wasn't possible back in the day. I didn't know what Joe Biden was thinking, but now he tweets. Now Joe Biden has a Twitter. So we can literally see what whoever's typing for him or what he thinks, and on a daily basis. I mean, Donald Trump himself, he lit the whole world on fire with having a Twitter. So I think it's just crazy when we see, when we just get too much of people, I think, with this internet age that we have. And that's kind of what's reduced this we were talking about authority, you know, like people, we don't have any more respect for authority.
I agree. I think roughly we get too much of people, but I think what it is that you get a keyhole segment of somebody. If you look at a door and you're about to enter a key into there, you only get a finite amount. Let's just keep it real. What people post in and of themselves, you don't know the story behind that. You know a fragment of it. Social media isn't reality. Reality is reality. Social media taps into a certain area that we want you to be able to see. This is the reason for me. I want to be just completely real and transparent with my audience on this end. What you see is what you're going to get. I think we do get too much caught up in what people have to say, because if you started saying certain things outside of the internet forum in a public forum, let's say in society today, somebody would check you. And somebody, if they disagreed, would have an opinion in which they would need to go and talk to you. But
right now we're going to have to take a little break because Dom's
a little
home.
break.
What's up, Dom?
What's up, Dom?
Welcome. We are rolling right now. Our roommate's here.
He's cool.
This will all be edited out.
It's all good. Yeah. It's bright.
Yes, sir. Oh, cool. That's a good use for it. That's a great use for it.
So
just lean it back a little.
All right, that's good.
Perfect.
So I think going back to having respect for our...
I mean, no, what we're talking about is just uncommon sense. So common sense is very uncommon these days. For instance, respecting our elders. I think a lot of us grew up without moms, grew up without dads, grew up in households that didn't have our grandparents involved. So we don't really see that these days. People really don't know how to live with old people. I think that's something that we can see. That's a door creaking in the background. Don't worry about that. We live with people. We're shooting out of our home, guys. So
we invite you in our home.
We're inviting you into our home right
Basically.
now. It's a beautiful thing to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Please keep your shoes on if your feet stink. So I think when it comes to respect for our elders, man, that door is loud. That needs WD-40.
It's fine. Little creaks and moans.
That door definitely needs WD-40. It's without a doubt.
Product of the day, part 2.
Yeah. Product of the day, part 2. WD-40. Let's go, Doge. Good job this time.
Okay.
This dog. We have a dog in here, and he almost destroyed the whole set.
We call him Doggo.
Doggo. Pepperoni.
The Pixar dog, because he has a cone
Zion.
around him.
Podcast pup. He just got that name today.
That's right.
Stickers coming soon.
That's right.
But
stickers, folks.
So as far as common sense, it's very uncommon to see protecting a child's innocence. Ooh. I think my mom did her best to try to tell me, hey, don't watch these films. Don't watch that cartoon. Don't watch that episode on TV. Get out of the room. You don't need to be seeing this. You can't listen to Eminem, even though I listen to Eminem. You can't listen to Wu-Tang Clan. You can't listen to 50 Cent, even though I listened to all of them as children, right? So my mom was doing her best to try to get me to do kid things, to kind of grow up just and take my time to be a kid. She told me, you don't want to grow up too fast. And I remember at the time I was like, no, I do want to grow up that fast. That's where my sensibility was. I do want to grow up fast. I do want to watch that. I do want to hear what RZA, the Jizza, Method Man, Ghostface Killer has to say. I do want to hear all this craziness about these guns and this money and this drug dealing. I do want to hear that. And for a child, that's just one of the worst things you could put into your head. There's so much better things we could teach our kids. There's so much better things that we would want to show our kids. And I think these days, because a lot of us grew up just desensitized to so much, we don't give kids the same opportunity that we had. We don't even think twice when they're watching an R-rated movie. A lot of us don't think twice when we're cussing in front of our kids. A lot of us don't really pay any mind to the fact that there's a lot of issues where children cannot be kids these days. There's just way too much adult content out here being passed on to kids. And now when we hear the way 17-year-olds talk, now when we hear the way children talk, they're so much older than before than I remember. I swear some of these kids are smarter than when I wasn't. Trauma. Why do you say that, man?
I say that because going back to what I mentioned before, when you don't have a parental figure, even as a parental figure, parents who are watching, I think the real question comes down to this. How do you expose your kid while at the same time not sheltering them too much? I think that's really difficult as parents. I mean, I'm not speaking from a point of view of the parent. I'm trying to understand that because you have a sense of culture that's here, that you have R-rated movies, you have cursing, you have role models that I don't really believe are role models.
Like who? What do you mean by that?
Artists, I'm not going to, they're already famous as they are, but you have, I think people are looking at what modern day role models are, and they strive to be them to have a certain credibility so they can feel good about themselves. And I think we live in a culture that's very much copy and paste.
Okay.
And that has to do with the way that we listen to music. What is the type of music that's going on? It's highly sexualized. You have kids that want to be influencers, but they have certain talent in other areas, but they're willing to follow the crowd instead of being able to step out on their own. You are ultimately creating a culture in which you have such an authoritative figure outside of a parent, such as, say, Logan Paul, or I don't know who else is famous out there these days.
Well, I don't want to hate on anybody, but I think you're right. I think you're right. I
respect
the way these people
act.
act.
It's not their fault in and of themselves. It's just that people can have a mob mentality when it comes to something that's popular, and then when you popularize it, then it becomes a certain figurehead. And it can have a lot more influence.
I think as far as a kid being raised or a child's innocence, Logan Paul shouldn't have to think about a child's innocence. I don't think Logan Paul is trying to make stuff for kids. You know, by the content he makes, I don't think he's making things for your children. Logan Paul should not be raising our kids. Logan Paul should not be one of the main people as far as, unless they're watching wrestling. If your children are watching wrestling, then okay. Logan Paul's fine to watch because Logan Paul's not a bad wrestler. If we're watching boxing, then okay, like Jake Paul, Logan Paul, you're consuming their products. Sure. And I think there's place for them to make their money. There's place where they're respectable guys with their work ethic. But if we're allowing our children to be on YouTube for like hours in a day, and I say this as a man who doesn't have kids, so respectfully to all the burnt out parents out there who just want to come home and get some peace and quiet. You know, if our children are being raised by a YouTube algorithm, there's no telling what they're going to get. And there's no way to really protect their innocence. And that's where we need to have some common sense so that we can get them off of their devices.
What do you think is the solution? You mentioned getting them off their devices. So it's going to be a family by family situation, a scenario.
Right.
You know, going out and enjoying the great outdoors. Falling in love with nature.
Exactly.
What else? What else would you say?
Teaching kids how to garden would be crazy. That's something that I had a community garden growing up. So that's how I found out I wasn't really into gardening, is because I actually went to our community garden. They gave us shakies, you know, so it's part of why me and the homies used to go to the community garden so we can get some shakies. But we got our hands dirty a bit. We saw all the botany going on, you know, so I was exposed to that. I had the opportunity to do these things. I grew up with my grandfather is big on doing yard work. So I think teaching kids how to clean is bigger than forcing them to clean. It's giving them the skills. Now at 30, now that I have the skills to be able to keep a whole household clean myself, it's invaluable. because I meet so many people my age who don't have the ability, and it's probably because they spend a lot more time online than they spent living life, going through life. So I think that would be a great answer for children.
That is.
Teach them skills.
Practical
Show them what they like.
skills.
Maybe your son's a 5-star chef. He just hasn't gotten in the kitchen.
That's true.
Maybe your daughter's a really good like coder. Maybe she's great. Maybe she's better with your computer than you can comprehend. But it's all about putting her in front of that to give her the opportunity to do that.
Absolutely. I think God willing, one day. Please.
Nick wants to get married, yo. Nick is single. Just letting y'all know. So single guy right here.
Amen. Let's it's not. Yeah, that's true.
I love you.
I would say this one day, God willing. I'd like 3, but we'll see. Boy, girl, and then the third is all is God's choice. But I'd like to have a boy and a girl. Then, we'll see.
Talking about kids.
Amen. I would say for a fact that our kids, when God allows us to have them, will definitely be more educated and have more knowledge on the phones. I mean, who's the genius that created the iPhone that a baby can operate it?
I know it's the weirdest thing.
Just, and
that's why I feel like kids are smarter these days because they're able to. Just the things they've been exposed to, they're able to operate so much better than I could have ever done that.
With that, yes, but there leaves the vast majority of young people don't know how to have a conversation.
Right.
They don't know how to have social cues, and this is where it's interesting because I was born in '96, so between the 1990s to the 2000 kids, there's a distinct difference, and I'm not talking just in shows and clothes where you had kids that were being taught basic conversations before you had an explosion of the internet, and you had them mastering both. Now, I'm decent, I would say, on my tech skills. I'm not great, but I do pretty well in a public forum of having a conversation with people. I love that. I would love to teach young people that because it's heartbreaking that they're just so phenomenal at being able to handle tech. But when it comes to either talking to a girl or being able to present in class or ultimately just having a sense of self-confidence because they're not exposed to certain things because all they do is live online, they're missing a huge area. It's like going into
Go
a museum.
outside.
Let's go outside, folks. It's like going into a museum, looking at a picture frame and missing the entire museum because you're just staring at one frame.
Wow.
That's the way that I say it, just looking plainly online. It's really saying I'm going to take a snippet of life and I'm going to enjoy it. And that's my world visually, but I'm missing everything. It's ultimately, I mean, we were watching a movie yesterday. I think it was the Apostle Paul.
Yep.
Where there's one scene where he's talking to
10 out of 10.
It's a phenomenal film. I watched it in 2018 with our brother Julian Chen. Love you, Jewel.
Love you, Jules.
Asian songbird. Love that guy.
Asian songbird.
Asian songbird from the East. Anywho, it's my ADD talking. So, oh my gosh, I lost the point where I was.
Well, I think the whole thing with being trapped online.
Oh, yes.
It really leaves children unable to talk to you.
Yes.
And I think the more we allow this generation to just get sucked into a computer, the less they're going to care about empathizing with us. I think the less ability they'll have to stare you in the eye. These days, I feel like people are scared to look me in the eye when they talk to me.
Yes.
It's the weirdest thing. Maybe because I stare a little too intently. Could be it. Could be it. I look people in their eye. That's just how it was growing up. Looking people in the eye was a common thing, a common courtesy. If I didn't look you in the eye, it showed like a sign of disrespect.
Yes.
Like I got scolded by my family for not looking them in the eye. I got scolded if I was watching TV while I was being talked to. So these are things that I wasn't allowed. I literally was not allowed to not look you in the eye and have a conversation. And these days when I'm talking to even grown adults, it feels like we don't look each other in the eye anymore. I think it's a little too personally, I think just people feel it's too intimate. I don't have a problem with it. I feel respected when people do it. But I think that's a big thing. That's why I've been staring your way when you talk instead of looking at the camera. I'm trying to figure this.
I'm still learning this
podcast stuff
here. We're going to be growing on
here.
this.
This podcast stuff is crazy.
Sorry about
to have cameras in your face.
I apologize. I'll definitely.
This is different.
Love, but I've been like.
This is a very different thing to have a camera right in your face.
It is. I would say to add to that, it's because, as I mentioned before, when you have a public forum that's the invisible continent out there,
The
and you
invisible
have
continent.
only a comment, you're not hearing a voice, you're not seeing a face, you're not getting face-to-face interactions. Whenever you deal with real interactions, you end up stuttering, you end up choking, you end up freaking out. Why? Because it's so new to you. Because it's not, you live, you're living ultimately within a frame without it really having any intimacy with it. And what I mean by intimacy is actual genuine interaction.
Right.
You're learning in that moment. So we have an entire generation that's so fixated on computers. How do we bridge the gap between the screen, the heart, and the mind?
Ain't that the question?
That is the question. I think it needs to be a sense of a hybrid to get people out. But the thing is, how do we get people to start to socialize when all they've known is the computer? You could reach them through the computer, and then finding ways to break that barrier.
Please recommend some books. Anything I
please.
could read on that, please.
Please.
I would love to know, how do we deal with that moving forward? Because I think as computers become more sophisticated,
They will.
as we get the Apple glasses, as we turn more looking like Wall-E. If you've seen Wall-E, shout out to Disney, one of Disney's greatest eras with Wall-E. One of its best movies, coming out great movies. When we get into just having the screen getting closer and closer to the point that our eyes become the screens now, so we're now part of the computer.
Yep. It's like Futurama.
I think we're gonna lose the ability to just be human for a second. We're gonna lose the ability, even just how much we need our phones. Like, I need to check this thing all the time.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm feeling it right now.
Broken phone and all. Yeah,
Point it. Well, not.
the detox from your phone is crazy,
You
right?
know what? I'm gonna be honest. It's
Detoxing from the phone is crazy.
weird.
It's a weird thing.
It's weird because I feel, in a sense, a bit naked.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that from the fact that I can't communicate with somebody, and I have people, which is driving me crazy, that that hit me up, and I don't know what they're gonna say.
He still has the smartwatch on.
So this
He's
smartwatch is the only reason I'm able to look, and it's not even to say what contacts are there. So I'm freaking out because people are calling me, and I'm like, I don't want to be rude. So anybody who's seen this, please forgive me.
His
My
phone's
phone-
broken, guys. He broke it at the LA County Fair in Pomona. Sorry. On his behalf. Sorry.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Super sorry.
As we continue, I think common sense is very uncommon these days.
It's true.
So something we definitely want to touch on is professionalism. I think the loss of professionalism these days has been really cutting for me, really jarring. I see it. I've worked in a lot of call centers, so that's why I've had to learn how to have a phone voice. Shout out to all my call center brothers and sisters out there. Shout out to everybody who's had to have a professional speaking voice. And they know the difference between a casual speaking voice and a professional speaking voice. And having to enunciate and having to speak properly and not really curse and not really, you know what I mean, and not be so too casual with this thing and that thing, and it becomes like this, that, and third, and whatever, you know. There's a difference between professionalism and casual talking, and I think that's just the common sense thing. And now we work with so many people who have never ever been in a professional environment, and we need I feel like that needs to be restored in order for us to get something great. In order for us to negotiate, become better negotiators in our own lives, in order for us to be able to speak to people who are higher caliber than us, meaning when you get the chance to meet somebody in your field who you look up to, you don't want to sound like an oaf. You don't want to sound like somebody you don't want to just sound like a fangirl.
Nope.
You need to be able to separate the two. You know, and in order to do that, you need a sense of professionalism.
Let's give them an example on that.
So I have a friend named Eliza, and he's introduced me to this amazing artist named Ray Khalil. And so she's a SoCal artist. If you ever watch Tiny Desk, her Tiny Desk is amazing. She has a song called "Is It Worth It Out" right now. That's incredible. She has a killer team on there. It's in Anderson Pax Camp. So when I met Ray Khalil, my friend Drew turned to me and he said, "Hey, you're a little starstruck right now." He saw it on my face, and I couldn't deny it. I couldn't. I was fangirling out, and it's a little different with musicians. I think we're allowed a little more ability to do that. But I've been in the studio with like the same engineers as her, and I could feel myself like I feel disrespectful just in the way when I give my opinions. I feel like I'm a little too casual with them when I'm talking to some guys who are incredible, who like when I listen to the work they do, I really respect them. And I would love to convey that. I feel I could do better in conveying how I am when I'm around other professionals or people who are musicians who are better than me. I am a musician. I do a bunch of different things. I'm not the greatest at all, but when I'm around people who are incredible, I can't help but geek out. So I would love to kind of hold my composure a little more. Learn how to hold my composure a little more. I just have fun with it. So that's a personal example I could give.
I get you.
Is I could lose it if I were to stand in front of Anderson .Paak. I don't know if I could hold it, you know, if I could keep it cool.
I get you.
That'd be tough to do because that's somebody who I look up to so much.
I get you. I think it's ultimately humanizing them.
Right.
And removing them from a pedestal, which is difficult.
And that would be the common sense.
It's a common sense.
That would be the common sense.
You know, I find it very similar. If I met, let's say, Jamie Dimon or anybody in finance or real estate that I definitely look up to, I'm going to be honest, my leg would be shaking a little bit.
Right. Jamie Dimon, you're talking about the guy who runs Chase?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reason being is because he's a top dog. And anybody in their respective field, when you meet them, they're due their just desserts. They're due their respect. And I can understand the sense of if you're being a little too, not common, what was the word you used?
I'm not sure what word you're talking about.
Thank you, casual.
Shout out to the guy in the back, Adrian.
Because you just want to be one
That's
of the boys.
Ayjren, Adrian. Shout out, Adrian.
Legend. Thank you, Adrian. Casual. I think ultimately it just comes down to just believing you're good enough. And even if you aren't, at the end of the day, just making the best of the opportunity. Ooh. I think if you're going to approach somebody, the first thing to do is make a comment on, you know who they are. Be like, oh, Peter Rico, absolute pleasure to meet you. Yeah, I've been looking at the Common Sense podcast. I really enjoy your stuff on this segment. I was wondering, you know, then you give a little bit of input. I was wondering if you guys would ever consider this segment for your guys' podcast. And I'm really looking forward to being
That's how Nick pitches ideas. Now you all know how Nick pitches ideas. You've just seen it. He's just giving away how Nick casually pitches an idea.
That's one of the ways that I casually pitch ideas. There's also, there's many more ways. You guys are going to see it all, folks. You're going to see the characters come on out. It's going to be fun.
And the last part of Uncommon Sense I really want to go over is the golden rule. You know the golden rule, Nick?
Golden rule.
What's the golden rule?
You tell me.
You don't know the golden rule?
I'm about to learn it.
I know you know it. I know you know it. It's do unto others as you would want done to you. Everybody knows the golden rule.
Magic word. I wish we had that button right now so we can have like confetti come stuff like that.
Shout out to Pee Wee.
Rest in peace, Pee Wee.
Everyone knows the golden rule. It's do unto others as you would want done to you. And I just think most people don't really have a self-respect these days. And that's why you get people who would openly do the things they would do on camera, do the things they would do for money.
Wow.
Work jobs that they don't want to work. I think that's a self-respect thing. When you're at a job that you genuinely hate every day, you're allowed to leave it. You know, that's the beautiful thing of as far as where we live in America. You know, shout out to all the people in countries where they literally are forced to work there. Shout out to people in this country in America who are grinding.
God bless
and
you,
have to work that 9 to 5 job,
probably 2 of them,
in which they can't leave, who have to put food on the table, who are doing what they need to do. But if you have the freedom to leave, you don't have to work there.
It's true.
If you're being pressed by your job, if you're being pressed by the environment you're in, you have the freedom to walk out of it. But it takes self-respect in order to do it. And I don't think people really look when they put themselves through things like that. They don't really look at it as a self-respect type of thing.
I agree. I think they look at it as a sense of necessity. I think ultimately people will always look at what is comfortable and safe over what's going to be better for me unless they're in a position in which they're allowed to say that without any repercussions.
Allowed to say what?
Allowed to either voice their opinion or actually believe in themselves enough in order to make that transition.
Yeah, and being in a place where you can't voice your opinion, I think that's what the golden rule says. It's like, do unto others as you would want done to you. If you would want your opinion heard, then you should allow other people's opinions to be put into something. I know I just recently made a post on IG that kind of went big. And there was a lot of opinions I did not agree with. A lot of comments that I was like, I'm going to delete that instantly. I did delete some comments so to keep hate off of it. But there were some people who were just showing that I might be wrong, that they might understand some things about the post that I maybe don't understand. I left those up because I think it's only fair for somebody to see, like, yeah, Peter might be wrong. So that in your source and what you see, you can consider whether or not what I'm saying is the truth. And that's something that we need to get back to. You know, that's something that, as somebody who's living by the golden rule, I'm going to allow people to speak their voice. I'm going to allow people to say what they need to say.
I concur. If you guys know what movie that's from, and I'm just going to let you guys know, I do use a lot of movie quotes.
I concur is a movie quote? You need to tell me that movie quote.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
What movie is it, Tony?
Say it.
Catch Me If You Can.
Yes.
Hey.
That's right. Sir, do you concur? It's a bicycle wound. But do you concur? Like I said, it's a bicycle wound. And then he goes on, then he leaves, and he's like, why didn't I concur? It's an excellent movie of Leonardo DiCaprio. I think it was 2006 when it came out. It's about Frank Abagnale, based on a true story. Also, I'm a movie buff here. Please go and watch it. I think it's one of Leo's best movies. Also, you got Christopher Walken.
I'm about to watch Catch Me If You Can after this now.
You have to be.
We're about to watch Catch Me If You Can now.
It's a good movie.
We're going to have to.
Yeah, actually, what's her name? Rachel Adams is in it as well. Tom Hanks, Rachel Adams. What?
Rachel Adams?
Rachel Adams.
Okay.
Rachel Adams. Yeah.
That's fire. What's some common sense that you think is uncommon these days? What? Because when I say that common sense is very uncommon, it's so many different things that I've listed. What's something you think is very uncommon these days as far as common sense?
Number one, holding doors for people, regardless of gender, regardless of age. I think it's just showing a sign of respect. It's something that's uncommon. Another thing is if you're sitting on the bus or a subway and you give your seat to somebody who's a little bit older, I think that also plays a factor of showing respect. I think something else is just checking on people and seeing how they're doing, creating a culture of just awareness of people's feelings and actually thinking, what is it like to be in their shoes? And you really don't know. I think we should definitely talk about mental health in a lot of ways. And I would love.
Is that something you guys want to hear about?
If that's something, if you guys want to hear, please let us know. That's definitely something I would like to share my journey with regarding ADHD.
If you don't want to hear about it, that's too bad, because that episode is coming now.
Yeah, please.
We got that coming. I think one more thing to touch on with common sense is if you see somebody who needs help, just help.
Please do.
Just quick help. Meaning, and I'm talking about simple things such as people in wheelchairs who are wheeling themselves down the aisle at a supermarket. Come on.
Just, common sense.
You see a lady with kids who has all the groceries and, the supermarket is really hitting me. It's like there's so much disrespect that happens normally at a supermarket. There's such a lack of awareness.
So true.
At a supermarket where people just don't help each other anymore.
It's true.
If you can put the item back where it goes to make it easier on the worker, put it back. Just have some Cartnarks. I don't know if you know what Cartnarks is.
No, tell me.
Cartnarks is it's a guy on Instagram, and I think he has more than just Instagram, but he literally looks for people who don't put their carts back, and he challenges them right there on the spot, like, hey, why don't you put that cart back? The thing to put it back is right there, and that's his whole spiel. Cartnarks is fire. Shout out to the homie Miguel. I saw it on his page. But that's one of the things that we just need more people who are willing to champion for common sense, willing to be the ones to be like, hey, I'll help you. Or willing to be like, hey, why didn't you help? And willing to teach the younger generations, hey, this is how you help. So that's uncommon sense for today. So thank you for joining with that one. Really quick, during this episode, I just want to take the time to shout out my mama for Mother's Day. Roberta Vasquez, I love you so much, mama. You've made me the man that I am today. Not a perfect man, but a man who has some common sense. a man who loves God, a man who respects you. And we may have differences. You've known me for 30 years of my life, and I just want to say I love you. I love you that you did so much for me so that I could see all the things that we've discussed today, so that I could see beyond myself, so that I could have some more consideration. I don't think I've always considered you, Mom. I don't think I've always done the best I could to consider you. But what I want to do, even with what we're doing here right now, is just take this time to say I love you. A moment to say Happy Mother's Day. I love you, Roberta Vasquez.
Oh, you're gonna me to tear up right now. That's beautiful.
Mm.
All right. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I definitely want to shout out my mom out there, the most beautiful woman in the world. My mama, Samira Medina, who I love very, very much. There's not a day I don't go not thinking about you, Mom. I definitely wouldn't be the man I am today without you. Through my ups and downs, through everything, you've just been a rock. Just been a rock. You've seen the absolute best of me, and you've seen the worst of me. And I wish I can give you a lot more. I love you so much. And I thank you for every moment you've just had an influence on my life. Everything that I am is definitely been touched by you. Definitely introducing me to God. Definitely pushing me towards running, which helped me because it was something you've always wanted to do, and you never really forced anything on me. You've always just given me a gentle nudge, but you've always just taken a step back. Thank you for just being the best mom, one of my closest advisors and friends. I just love, and I love to see where our relationship is going to go from here. And thank you for being my mom.
Aww.
Stop.
That's so pretty. Oh my gosh.
So
yeah, tell your mom Happy Mother's Day. It makes such a big difference. You're seeing this, you think it means nothing, maybe a little bit of time in the day for you, but it means so much. It's love to all you who are missing your mothers on Mother's Day.
Come on, guys.
Your mom might not be around anymore, but Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers who have their babies. Happy Mother's Day. Celebrate the women in your life.
Absolutely.
So this next segment we're going to be going over is called Something for the Culture.
Ooh.
And so what that means to us, right? I'm Mexican American.
I'm Mexican American. Just a little bit lighter shade.
And I think
I'm white.
I think just the American part really dominates the Mexican part sometimes. And so it's something in me where I just want to reach back into my Mexican side of things. I think Mexican Americans have their own way of living, their own way that they've grown up.
It's true.
But we need that part, that Mexican part, just so we could remember what family is. I feel like in Mexican culture, there's this beautiful family unit that I think America needs more of. That I think we need more of today, that I need more of in my life. I need more music blasting through my house. I need more corridos blasting through my house, banda music. I need more Vicente Fernandez going through my ears. I need, and sadly, I don't understand Spanish. I don't speak too much Spanish. And so that's part of what inspires me with this next segment.
Thank you for touching upon that, because this is actually something I've always wanted to do and touch upon. Is to get back to my roots, my Mexican roots. I came from a family of just me, in which
that's crazy.
My dad was from Aguascalientes, Mexico, and my mom was from São Paulo, Brazil. So for me, I grew up roughly listening to either a lot of oldies, 80s, 70s, but really not that much Mexican music. And when I did, I didn't really find the love for it. And now as I'm getting older, as I'm starting to hear some songs, it's hitting my heart, but it's not really hitting here, which messes with me, because I'm like, there's a disconnect.
Because you can't speak the language.
Yet. We can't get yet. And this is where we want you guys to come and watch as we're going to build towards we will build towards an all Spanish episode. Necesito hablar español. Necesito practicar.
I don't try to do what he's doing. I will mess it up.
No
My
entiendes.
Spanish is absolutely terrible.
Es nada, pero he'll get there. Like, I'll get there. Like, I still need to practice. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, study the present tense.
My goal is to be able to hold a conversation with my grandmother, who is still on this earth, and I'm blessed to have her.
Bless her.
She's a little sick. My grandpa passed away a few years ago, so she's going through the loneliness, of not having my grandpa around. And so I really want to have a chance to connect with her before she goes. I really want to have the chance to be able to just walk up in there, because I feel like she'll think it's a miracle of God.
That's true.
If she hears me speaking Spanish, she will have a new faith on life.
That's true.
If she hears me uttering any words. But I will not call her abuelita, because she will smack me. She has smacked me before for that. She doesn't like the word abuelita. She only likes grandma.
So, say mi amor.
Please help me understand that.
Say mi amor.
If anybody can help me understand why grandma's okay but abuelita isn't okay, just help me get it. I don't quite get why my grandma doesn't like it, but I don't call her abuelita. I don't. That's like a curse word in our household. We call her grandma. A shout out to my cousin Triana, who calls her G Mama.
Hey man, I would say ask, like, if you can call her amor or mi corazón. That means my heart or my love.
She calls me that.
Yeah, because you're her grandson. And she adores you. I could tell she also, she's like, mira, mijo, ven acá contigo.
No, that sounds like your grandma. That is not my grandma.
No. You know what? My grandma from my dad's side, actually both my grandparents from my dad's side have passed away. My grandfather from my mom's side is not here anymore. So all I have is just one grandmother, ultimately. And she speaks Portuguese for that end. But also English, Hey, boy. That's basically her tone. I love her to death. I love her to death. I got to hit her up more on that end, man. I definitely got to hit her up. Thank you for calling me higher.
But I think what this is going to do, I think my nephews, when they see me, I don't want them to just see. I don't want them to lose the Mexican pride that
That's true.
I have. I love being Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
I embrace it so much, and I think when they see their grandmother and their I'm forgetting what they call them, papa, their grandpa. He's not really a grandpa. He's super young. It's weird to call him a grandpa.
Joven abuelo.
But Daniel, when they're with Daniel, their grandfather, he's he reminds me of that Mexican heritage. He reminds me of what it should be like. He's the one who will have the corridos blasting till 3 a.m. He's the person whose house we go over to enjoy that time as family. And I think that's so important to give to people, because in America, we don't really like doing that unless we're spending $1,000 somewhere, spending a bunch of money to go enjoy an experience for a night. It's so weird, because I've always loved it better to go to someone's house and be there forever. So, when we have the quinceañeras, when we have the baby showers, a Mexican baby shower is a function. Mexican baby shower is way different from these little gender reveals. The pozole, when you get the pot of pozole out, like, it's different. It's sort of like for any of my brothers and sisters of the black orientation who are watching, it would be the cookout for you. When you call it the cookout, if you're invited to the cookout, that means your black friends love you. That means you can hang around. For us, that's the pozole. That's the menudo. That's the big old pot of menudo, the big old pot of pozole that gets made. If we invite you to that, that means you can come to the Mexican function. You can come to our fiesta. We don't call it fiesta. That's what I mean by, like, I want to tap into it, so, like, I can connect with all my aunts and uncles too, who love the same thing, who love to get the big old pot of menudo out, probably have some Coronas, probably just come out and enjoy the family, so that we can just remember who's really for us. Because if we see you there around the pot of pozole, that means, like, you're closer to us than anybody at work. You're closer to us than any of these random people out here. Like, it's a lot deeper than that. So that's why I really want to take this time to to dive into our culture and to really become more not just Mexican American, but more Mexicano, más Mexicano. I need it, and I know a lot of you out there do too. So this shout out to you. Join me in this journey.
I think you've said everything that's needed to say. Ultimately, what I'd like is for our audience to let us know in what ways can we become more Mexican. Really, in a lot of ways.
As two Mexican Americans, what can we do?
What can we do
to tap more into our
tap
roots?
more? I mean,
it's more than a history class. That's not what I'm
absolutely.
talking about.
It's more. I mean, I've gone with my dad is taking me to Aguascalientes, Mexico. He's taking me to Mexico DF. I've seen so much history there, and I've loved it, you know. But there always seemed to be something missing for me, and it's always something I couldn't really put my finger on. And it's not kind of gets to me. It gets to me. It gets to me because there's a lack of soul. I think that's there.
And it's
that
our
hurts.
soul.
And it hurts.
It's our soul. It's like
hurts.
our real soul that's there.
It feels absent. I'll just keep it 100.
It's a disconnect.
It's a
It's
disconnect.
a disconnect from our people.
I need to pray to God about, to really ask, and please help us as we want to
Please.
provide content. We also want engagement because we want to be able to grow. As we've stated before, we've already told you what Common Sense is about. We also want you guys to grow with us in a lot of ways. Black and white, no gray.
And brown. So something I thought we could do real quick is just roll our R's. You know, I need help rolling my R's. I can't even say Rico. I've been practicing, so it sounded a bit.
Tony, Adrian. Okay, give
that's
me
what
a
I'm
word.
saying.
Give me a word.
Our director.
Give me a word.
You're Mexican, Adrian. See, he's a Mexican American like us.
Give me a word. Huh?
Amor.
Mira, mi amor.
Hey, see, you got it. See, you can do it. We can get it.
Go.
Rico. Pedro. I can't. It's gonna sound like Pedro.
Rico.
The hard part of rolling my R's with Pedro
Rico.
is I say Pedro.
I need to practice.
So that's a fart in Spanish. So I call myself a fart whenever I try to roll my
Pedro.
R's. And it's Pedro.
I don't know if there's an N on the O.
Pedro.
P-E-D-O.
Oh my God. Pedro. Alejandro.
Word of the day.
Rico. So it's funny because my grandma would laugh at me right now trying this. This is what, when I was a child, this is why I didn't learn Spanish, is because I got laughed at.
You got shamed?
Not shame. No. I'm not saying shame.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Come on, man. It's not that. I'm not going to put that on them. You know, it's just, it was always a joke. It was funny. It's funny to see a baby learn how to speak. It's hilarious. So, like, I'm like 4 years old and, like, I'm trying to roll my R's and they're all just laughing. It's just funny. They look at me like it's hilarious, and that's kind of, it got to me like, okay, I won't learn Spanish then. But now as I'm 30, you know, and I can't get that extra pay for bilingual, it has me in a place where it's like, you know, what am I doing with my life? You know, so, and I know there's a lot of people out there too who want to be able to speak to their elders, who want to be able to connect with them. And so that's why, like, roll your R's. Learn how to roll your R's with me. Post a video of you learning how to roll your R's.
Send it
I
to
dare
us.
you. Put it on, tag us in it.
Please.
Tag Common Sense in it. Go put us in the story so
Yeah.
all of us Mexican Americans can get our linguistics up.
Speaking of, I don't think we told them our Instagram.
It's in construction.
It's in construction. What about our personal ones?
It's on. Oh,
Yeah.
you can follow me at SGV MVP Peter Rico.
You can follow me at Nicholas J. Medina. Pretty simple. It's my whole name.
Soon to be Poncho Man. But that's for a later episode.
Let's wait for that.
But you know, that's definitely all the time I want to give to just something for the culture, you know. But I want to encourage you. Let's get a little more Mexican, not just Mexican American. Our next segment, we're gonna take some time to talk about Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Okay.
Hey, we're nerds, guys. I'm sorry if this makes you tune off, but we're nerds. We gotta get nerdy. We gotta stay up to date. It's been a minute since the MCU has excited me about anything.
Breach.
Anything. It's
Breach.
been 2021. December 2021.
All right. Let's
Spider-Man No Way Home. Last time I was excited for an MCU movie.
It's pretty good.
You know how much that hurts? A lot. Do you get how much that hurts?
It's all good.
Oh, it died.
But alive in Christ.
That camera is gone.
It's all good. I would say this. When it comes to Deadpool versus Wolverine, it's definitely going to be a cinematic event because you get to see Deadpool back in 2014 to then 2016, the first Deadpool, second Deadpool. You have Wolverine ending with Logan 2017. You know, he has, I don't know how many films he's been in, but, you know, God bless you, Hugh Jackman. We love you, man. Oh my gosh, the internet broke when we were able to.
That camera's you.
Got you. When we were able to find out, you know, Deadpool, or better yet, Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, they're just one and the same. Really,
it's such a beautiful man. I'm glad that we were able to get Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman in a movie.
I was so happy.
Like, that's something I was so shocked didn't happen for years.
They have an on-screen, off-screen rivalry where they did Aviation Gin, and then was it Mint Mobile. And I remember it was just so bad. And I'm not saying bad as far as like terrible, but like funny bad. How they would just have their on-screen and off-screen little moments. I loved it. I loved the comedic humor without a shadow of a doubt.
I think those guys are too good to not have on camera together.
Because you want to build it up to make some good money.
It's built up at this point.
Also, you have to keep in mind the amount of businesses that Ryan Reynolds owns. I think it's Mint Mobile. I think they got purchased. I don't know if it was T-Mobile.
I'm not worried about that.
But but
he was only Deadpool. Team. At one point, before all that, he was only
so
Deadpool.
He's always still
made
Deadpool.
Wolverine years ago.
You can't do that years ago. No,
because people are greedy.
It's timing. No, it's not greedy. It comes down to, did Hugh Jackman really want to come back? He didn't want to come back then. He had no reason to.
With Ryan Reynolds, he did.
No, Ryan Reynolds told him straight up, like,
I think he would have. I think if Fox and the MCU could put their stuff aside, Marvel and Fox could put their little rivalry aside to make money,
rivalry,
which is all this is gonna do. It would have. So I think the fact that they waited this long, right, to have so many bad movies, they've lost a lot of money.
Okay.
The common sense, when you can make money, the common sense would be, we're good.
We're good. We're good. This does not distract me at all.
We have incredible directors who are working behind the scenes.
Phenomenal directors. I would like them to come forward at a moment so they can say hi.
No, they're good.
A bow later on.
No, we're gonna have them as guests, bro. Don't worry. They can get full episodes beyond. Don't you worry.
Absolutely.
But I just think
theme music and everything.
I just think with these movies, when they were on a roll and making $1 billion every movie,
phase 2, phase 3,
it doesn't make any sense.
They made some good money. They made some good money. You know.
Go ahead, Nick.
I enjoy AMC. I'm just gonna say right now. Sorry, Regal. I don't enjoy you that much. I love AMC. Here's the reason. Okay, here's the reason. And it wasn't Tom Cruise's ex-wife that got me to get back in the theater when they did the little,
I didn't mean that,
movies.
Regal.
I love you too, Regal. Don't worry. Don't sue me.
I love Regal.
Chipotle, follow me. AMC, follow me. Anywho, I would say this. I loved when you have movies that come out in AMC and you have stickers or you have, the merchandise with it. And, with this upcoming movie, you have the popcorn buckets. You have the pins. I like pins, especially if they're cool pins. And then they had, for one of their posters, the Best Friends Forever locket. We're not getting that. That's not happening. Why are you looking at me that way?
I don't. Nick wants me to want that. I don't want that.
I don't want that. No, I just want my pin.
Either.
And I want to be able to enjoy the movie probably like 5 times over. I think it's going to be a great movie. Please come to the theater and watch it. I know I'll definitely be there for one. And I'll say this. Let's talk about the fight scene. Who would win between Wolverine and Deadpool?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty confident Deadpool has the ability to survive longer. That's it.
So
that's why I think Deadpool would win, but it would be one of the longest fights we've ever seen. That's why I don't know how this movie's gonna go. It's gonna be like these movies won't kill each other.
Here's my take on this. Call me Magic Nick. I'm gonna call this. All right, you don't have to call me Magic Nick.
We got a lot of names. I don't know about Magic Nick.
All right, fine.
You got to prove it. If you can prove this, if this comes true, what you're about to say,
if I get 50%.
No, it's 100.
Fine. Okay, I'm gonna call the plot of this. I hope I'm wrong for my sake, so I don't ruin it. Deadpool gets recruited by the TVA. he goes to certain key moments in order to help fix the MCU. He ends up recruiting Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, one that allowed his universe to die, probably by not killing Charles Xavier or something like that. They go after Cassandra Nova, but I think what I'm going to call is this. Not the movie itself altogether, but just this part. Deadpool versus Wolverine. You're going to have probably the bloodiest, most insane, most just like the longest fight ever that is going to just be filled up to the wazoo with just everything you could ever wish for as a comic book fan. Deadpool getting his arms cut off in order for them to be a baby later and then continue to stab Wolverine. Yeah. Just watch the film. I can't.
That's not fair. I can't even.
I can't hold you. This is my ADHD brain,
how hard
bro.
that's gonna be to pull off. I can't hold you to any of that.
They did it in Deadpool 2 when Juggernaut ripped him in half.
Who was the name that you just mentioned? Cassandra what?
Cassandra Nova. Cassandra Nova is Charles Xavier's, I don't know if it's his stepsister or his actually no, it's his sister from the womb in which he had to kill because she tried to strangle him with an umbilical cord.
So you're banking on Cassandra Nova being in the movie?
I can guarantee you Cassandra Nova. I'm looking you right in the eyes.
Then this is the one. If you can get this, because I haven't heard many people talk about it. Google it.
I'll say it again. Google it.
All right.
Of this, I do not believe I am wrong.
Okay, we shall see.
As Dollar Bill would say, and those who watch Billions, I am not wrong.
Okay. So
Cassandra Nova will be the main villain.
So if we get Cassandra Nova in this movie, you're Magic Nick. But if you don't, you're just Nick.
There'll be other nicknames.
Yeah, there's many other nicknames.
There'll be many.
You will not be Magic
monikers.
Nick. So
Cool
Magic Nick rides on Cassandra Nova. Right
Actually, I kind of want to retract the word Magic Nick. It sounds too
oh,
much.
now you don't want it. Oh, no,
It sounds like Magic Mike.
Because we know what
want to
movie
associate with that as a Christian.
If you know Nick does this all the time.
Fine. Give me the moniker if I end up winning it.
Nick. People are going to go crazy with that if that becomes a name. But that's beautiful. I love it.
The thing is, I just don't want it to associate with Magic Mike.
It's gonna now because you put it in the world. You messed up.
Well, we can edit that out.
No, it won't.
Editing.
Editing.
I'll pay you. Just take out the Magic Nick part.
Do you think this movie's gonna be $1 billion
flop.
movie?
$1
billion? I'll say billion. I'm willing to put my money that it's billion just because I think it's gonna get the replay value.
Absolutely.
I think there's gonna be one I want to watch more than one.
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm banking.
I think you're gonna watch it 3 times.
I think I'm gonna watch it more than 3 if it's really good.
I watched Free Guy like 5 times, and I have to admit I didn't see it coming. And it was good.
Free Guy was really good.
I didn't expect it to be that good. So
Ryan
Reynolds has always done a great
Ryan
job.
Reynolds magic.
He is the magic man.
Right now.
Everything he touches, you know what? Yeah, I agree.
He comes from an era where people like Ben Stiller. It was people like Sylvester Stallone. People like that's a long gap between Stallone and his prime. But he comes from the era where there was leading man. The leading man could carry the movie. Denzel, Will Smith.
Will Smith.
There's more. There's more.
This guy was really good.
There's more actors who, when they're in a movie, when they're the lead, you're gonna go watch it. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I don't want to do the impersonation right now.
No, not right now.
Not right now.
But those are. He is that type of guy. Ryan Reynolds is that type of actor who he's worthy of carrying movies, carrying franchises. And even if the movie's trash, Ryan Reynolds is usually the brightest of spots in the movie. So it's beautiful because another guy who is like that is Hugh Jackman. He is also a guy who Wolverine's the prime example of when he's leading the movie is probably going to be great. It's more than The Greatest Showman's a prime example. There's another movie with Christian Bale I'm forgetting where they're magicians.
Oh, you're talking about The Prestige.
The Prestige is such a good movie. If you love good movies, The Prestige is great, and it's Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. Christian Bale being another one,
and Michael Caine. Thank you,
Caine's
Christopher Nolan, and Scarlett Johansson.
So it's at the time when blockbusters used to be a big deal.
It's true.
When the blockbuster was worth it, you know. So this is why Deadpool deserves hype.
I believe
It
so.
deserves love. It deserves. This is before we see the movie. I'm sorry if Disney makes it bad. Like, Disney, please pick your game up. Please,
I
Disney.
don't think that they are going to improve.
Say it nicely.
I'm not gonna say it nicely. I'm just gonna call it for what it is. I'm gonna call it right. All right, I'm gonna call it. When it comes to the MCU, once they finish the multiverse saga, then you have a chance to clean the slate when you do the mutant saga. You did the Infinity War saga phenomenal. We've talked about this. We've talked about this 10 times over. They put too much content out there. There's not enough storyline to touch back. You have a bunch of unfortunate actors that got accused of things. And on top of that, unfortunately, God forbid, passed away. That was supposed to be the next lead.
R.I.P. T'Challa.
T'Challa.
Chadwick Boseman.
Wakanda forever.
We love you, Chadwick.
God, that sucked. You just...
Didn't that just stop all the momentum of whatever you were feeling? Just think about
No,
Chadwick.
it's just sad.
It's
It's
the
sad.
saddest thing in the world.
It's sad because those circumstances deprived what the movie should have been. Or better yet, where the entire universe should have been. So now it's just laid out like spaghetti. We don't know what's going to happen. Clean the slate. Start with the mutant saga, and then you can lead out to the space
Deadpool
saga.
kills everybody would be the greatest thing this movie
That
can
would
do.
be perfect. Deadpool kills the Fox universe. Oh wait, that is going to happen.
Deadpool kills this Marvel universe.
No.
MCU
The
too.
Fox universe.
Deadpool killing off Captain Marvel. Deadpool killing off the
Wow.
Eternals. Deadpool
Wow.
killing off everyone.
Wow,
Would be one of the best things this movie can do. Because then it's just a rewrite. Because then you can rewrite everything. But I don't think Disney has the courage.
I want to do the mouse voice so bad right now to say something for Disney. No, my voice is a little shaky right now. No.
Oh, go ahead and say it, Nick. Oh.
It's not how you do
But-
Mickey.
But Disney, step your game up.
It's not
please.
really Disney. It's not Disney out of itself. We have to look at the movie production. We have to look at Kathleen Kennedy's hands in there. We could talk about Star Wars next. We could talk about a lot of things. You know as well as I do. But I'm just going to look at Kathleen Kennedy. If she was here right now. I'm just going to call it. Why do you take credit for things that you're not good at?
Why don't you take credit for the things you ruined?
Why did you touch The Mandalorian season 3?
Why did you do
touch-
anything to Indiana Jones?
Why did you? Yeah, God, why'd you just let that man rest?
Please leave Star Wars alone.
Stop touching Star Wars. Stop destroying my culture.
Stop destroying my childhood.
And can you please God, just allow the PlayStation 5 version of Star Wars: The Old Republic? Here, you want a franchise, Disney? I'll give you a franchise. Let me give it to you right here. Is that one still on? Okay. Folks, here, let me pitch something to you right now. You do the Old Republic. You bring Keanu Reeves. Why Keanu Reeves? Because he did John Wick, and he's a big megastar. Make him Darth Revan. You get Bastila Shawn. You did three movies of it. I've been saying it for years, okay? I'm sick of it. I am sick of it. Just do the old trilogy, and then canonize the books. Make your money. We want to give it to you. We want to give it to you. But no. You refuse. You refuse. I'm sorry.
Disney, we just want to give you. We want to be hyped for your Deadpool versus Wolverine,
and
movie,
it's great.
right?
I'm sorry. I couldn't hold.
But
back.
look how much you've done to us. Look what you've done.
You've
to us.
affected us.
This is
worse.
common sense.
Help us all.
This is what you've done to loyal fans.
Yes, you have. You made us disgruntled,
This is what you've done to people who love you.
and we
Who
love you
wanted
enough to tell you the
wanted
truth.
to love you. We're trying to tell you the truth.
We couldn't swallow She-Hulk.
But if
okay?
this movie's bad, you know the love is gone. Like, and
It's
I
not gonna be
think
bad.
for me the love is already gone. But I'm hyped enough
I'm holding on.
for
to
who these actors
I need a
are.
hero.
You know, so I think we should probably wrap things up right now.
I think we should. I know we just did our Disney spiel.
Yeah, we got kind of hype, and we want to make this a podcast of love. Before we go, we just want to make sure that we really encourage people to engage.
Please.
We really encourage people to get online with us. Of course, we've told you to get outside, but when you do get online, join us.
Join us.
Come watch us. Come have fun with us. Come add to our knowledge. Maybe we
Please.
said something you don't like. You're welcome.
Please tell
You're
us.
welcomed in to correct us. Maybe we said something where we need some look at our common sense. Please help us out. we're in this with you as well. We want to make this a very human gathering type of event whenever Common Sense is doing something.
Intimate.
We want it to be very intimate. We want to know your face.
We're here. Yes, we want to know your faith. We want to get to know you guys. We want you guys to get to know us.
Face and faith. I said face.
Face and faith. I love that. That's really good. But we're literally inviting you guys inside of our home. This is literally the common space. And this is where we want you guys. We want you guys sitting here with us. We want you guys in our lives, and we want to be in your guys' lives. Because I think ultimately, in this crazy day and age, we just want people that care. And we care enough to be able to do this podcast, not only for faith, for family, but to reach out to people, to give them hope, to give them a place in which people are able to be like, yeah, I like those guys. Or maybe I don't like those guys, but I really enjoy what they have to say, or it's just something I like to watch on a weekly basis. But whatever your reason, we want to invite you to come on in and join us on this journey.
Please.
All right.
So my name's Peter Rico.
My name's Nicholas Medina.
And this is
Common Sense. Thank you.
Let's run that back. This is
Common Sense.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Much love. Yeah, applause. We got applause.
That can't be real. We ain't trying to bump it if it ain't real. So play this. Tell me what you feel, what you really feel. Do you feel what's really real? Why is it real? So tell me what you feel, what you really feel. Do you feel what's really real? Why is it real? So tell me what you feel, what you really feel. Do you feel what's really real? Why is it real? So tell me what you feel, what you really feel. Do you feel what's really real?